have you guys ever run into like an actual paranormal investigator in real life? Like somebody whose
No, they
job,
exist.
dude, I thought that they were only used as like fodder for reality TV shows. But I talked to a guy over the weekend that, you see, and here's my thing. Paranormal investigators, whatever. I don't know. Are there some people that can pick up on energies and auras and weird stuff that other people can't see? Sure. And then you got genetic echoing at play, which is just, everything all around us all at once, like the movie.
I didn't
But
know they called themselves that.
dude,
I
they're
know.
PIs. Okay, so now you're trying to commandeer a PI. If somebody came to me and was like, "Oh, my PI," I'd be like, "Oh, they got a private investigator." But now I have to worry about like, "Oh no, they hired a paranormal investigator, and they're trying to investigate my stuff." So I don't have a problem so much with the occupation of paranormal. If you want to dupe people into believing that you can come into their house and be like, "Oh yeah, this old miner that used to live here, but his spirit, he can't get free," whatever. But the problem I had with it was just that they were trying to paint themselves as like law enforcement or like a detective, and like the guy was saying, like, cops investigate physical science of crimes, detectives investigate the physical science, paranormal investigators investigate the science of the unseen. And I don't know, man, I just had a problem with that. What way is that? What is
How
that?
many times have they had to say that spiel
Oh,
in
well,
order to try to get people to like respect it?
well, how many times have they used it at like a mixer to get laid, right? Because that's the vibe I got, where I'm like, well, I'm not going to hire you. Like,
Darrell, this is speed dating. Hang on, let me give you the talk.
I'm like, I
He's
gotta
on
get
a
my car,
PI.
get bumping. I don't know. I
Dude.
wasn't expecting it to take this long.
Wait, first of all, let me do like, where did you run into this person,
Dude,
like,
it was on the same theme park. It was on the tram. I started making small talk with this guy. First of all, you
He's
think
on
of a
the
paranormal
PI.
activity.
Was he
I'm
really
thinking,
even
like,
there?
I think this guy, maybe not. That's a good question. But I'm thinking like
Oh.
a paranormal investigator, you'd be wearing a black turtleneck, right? You'd be looking the part. You'd probably have
Yeah.
hand tats.
You
of,
got to
like,
have a trench coat, dude.
You'd have an Aleister Crowley, like, quote tattooed on your neck, do as thou will, or whatever he said. But this guy was like this guy looked like a banker, right? He didn't look like somebody that was like, I reach into the nether realms and I communicate with the dead and I let them know what they're saying. I walk between two worlds. This guy was like presenting it to me as if like he was some kind of a law enforcement agent. And I'm just like, wouldn't it make more sense if you're trying to get me, number one, where's your business card? I didn't see that shit. So you're off to, the wrong foot already. But why wouldn't you be like, hey, I'm a paranormal investigator, and as soon as you walked on this boat, there's a dark energy that's attached to your soul that I instantly recognized as, somebody from your past that is hanging on to you. And I don't know, have you sensed like in the last few days, like you've been having like a rough time or negative energy? Well, that's this guy, and I can read him, and here's my card, call me. Then
And
I'm
he
like,
just
damn,
gives you an
You just
am I
invoice.
goes
walking
for it.
well, then I'm walking around for the rest of my life until I call this guy going like, there's a dark energy I can't see.
He has
that's
to
attached
give you.
himself to me.
He only has to tell you the beginning of it for free. He has to be like, "There's a dark entity that wants to fuck you up," and then just be like, "It's cool. You can deal with it or not. It's gonna cost. I'll tell you who it is."
You know why? You know what selling point that is? What tactic that is? That's like when your cat or dog is looking concerned as hell, but they're looking right, like slightly past you, like as if there's something going on that they see that you can't. That's the thing. It's like the whole like, well, paranormal investigating is the science of the unseen. It's like, that's not science. That's just that there's no like, what? Like, are you talking about magnetic fields?
Maybe magic is just science that we can't perceive of yet.
But he's not talking about magic. He's talking about like, oh, I can see footprints that you can't. Let's, or like, I don't know, maybe on the back of this tram bus, he's like, you have a dark energy and we need to do a seance right now. So here's my candle. And I'm just like, wait, it's like the thing in like Jamaica when you go to those huts and they're like, oh, what's your name? And you're like, oh, my name's Eli. And they start carving it into a souvenir so that you have to
You're
buy
like, no,
it.
no,
Oh,
I
yeah.
get. I didn't.
Like,
ask
no,
you to do
I'll
that.
deal with the dark aura on my own. Okay. I have my own ways. I have sage. I have a pastor. Like, I'll deal with this on my own. Okay. But it just, I don't know. It's so weird. I'd never run across a paranormal investigator in real time, in real life.
He's all, but yeah, you said like he acts like he's like a law enforcement or something. Like he's all he's all I answer to the natural rules of the universe. That's above your petty state laws.
Yeah, it's like what? Yeah, exactly what you just said. It's like, okay, well, what's your jurisdiction? Are you can you even be investigating paranormal activities here, or do you have to go over to Stanton and do it?
He's all, I'm very important. I put the super in supernatural.
Yeah.
Okay, that's He's all, I actually just have cat powers. That's really what it comes down to.
But man, I bet this guy makes a quality living off being a PI, dude. Being a paranormal investigator.
Dude, I feel like this guy works in fucking accounts payable for some shitty company in the Midwest. He's on vacation with his family. You come on the tram and he's like, "What's up? I'm a PI." And then he's like, "Oh shit, why'd I say that?" And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he just ran with it. And you were all into it, dude. You thought, because you are haunted. I know you are. So you probably found hope in this guy. Meanwhile,
I hope that's not true because I have a consultation for him tomorrow. He's coming by the house, so I hope he's legit. I want to get rid of this dark aura. You know, we'll see. I don't know.
I feel like you have to do it.
I just hope he has a nice pair of divining rods. But what a weird world we live in, dudes. That's hilarious. Like, what jurisdiction? Like, who authorized? Like, are you a member of? Like, did some state authority give you? Like, what keeps me from just walking into a space going, I'm a paranormal private investigator, and it's going to take us some work to get through this and just fleece everybody.
I think you should do it. Do it at Knott's though, because that guy already has his.
I feel like it's a lifestyle. I wouldn't look like a tax guy. I would grow my hair out. I would just constantly furrow my brow and just walk up to people as if they had a force field around them and present myself in a paranormal investigator, not in general.
You're all emphasis on private investigator.
Yeah. Are there any water jets over here? No. Okay.
I feel like I would be like, what are you gonna do for me right now? $20.
He's like, but what if he's like, oh, I'll prostitute myself for you for $20? It's like, what? This guy's a jack of all trades, man.
He's all, I'll be anything you want me to be.
I have a question.
He opens a bag and he's got like, yeah.
I don't think we've ever had this conversation. Do you guys believe in spirits?
I don't necessarily believe in spirits in the way that like most people do. I believe that like we walk around in, the science of the unseen. But I think, like there's all kinds of stuff. I'm really like fascinated with the concept of genetic echoing, dude. Because if that's true, then that explains a lot about like what people walk around in. And I think that's, but I don't know. Like, I think there are certain people that are able to pick up on stuff that other people can't. I think it's, what's the statistic? We only use 10% of our brains. So like, what if the other 90% was like dealing in like other dimensions or other worlds or, and I'm not no like psycho way. Like I think about this, but I don't know. I don't believe like you're going to see a ghost from a dead person who's wandering the earth, because then what would the point of like living be? I don't know.
And like what, when would it did. And I think I'm with you in that. Like it would have to be, in my mind, someone that is able to see something that exists that other people can't. I can't see it being like a wandering soul that is here in the specific spot, because the world has been around for how long? Why would a ghost be from like the 1905 and not a ghost from fucking 10,000 years ago just smashing an animal's skull on a rock? And like you look,
maybe there is,
like,
dude.
Well, this guy on the bus would tell you that guy you're from 1805 or 1819. There's something here that he left. He didn't have closure on this earth, so he died before he had closure in a certain way. So therefore, his soul is going to keep wandering. But I don't know. I just like, well, if that was the case, like if you had if you could go back and walk around, I don't know. Like I don't know. It's a weird concept. But I will say this. There have been many crimes, many murder investigations that have taken place where they use psychics and they've found people and like solved crimes based on that. So I don't know, so you look at that, and then there's stuff where there's like verifiable proof that like, that things like that psychic endeavors or psychic intuition has like led, to like real physical results in certain ways. But I don't know, like the concept of like, I feel like if there were ghosts, we would see ghosts all the time, and it wouldn't be a thing of like, oh, this week on Unsolved Mysteries, a ghost at the old Howard House, I don't know, in that sense, I guess.
We got some comments.
Dave, what do you think about that? What's your...
Yeah, I want to know what Dave's stance is.
Yeah, well, Peachtree says, I hear other people's conversations in my head all the time. I don't know what that means, Peachtree, exactly.
Yeah.
I've been telling her not to tell
I'm
people
psychic,
that.
not a crazy person. I mean, I don't know. For real? Maybe elaborate on that. I don't know. Yeah, I want to believe Vince.
Do you want to
I don't know,
believe
dude.
in like spirits and demons and stuff like that, or
I don't know. Like I'm kind of with Eli. Like I think that there's things that go on that we can't even perceive. I mean, there's like, you know, there's people that believe in spiritual warfare, like angels and demons fighting in like sort of other dimensions on top of ours that we can't perceive. I don't know. There could be all kinds of stuff. Maybe it's echoes. Maybe they're echoes of like parallel universes that we're next to that like we sort of can periodically see into.
yeah?
I don't know.
Well, or I think it's like I think people are different, and I think people's brains perceive things differently. So if that is true, and that's what I'm fascinated by is like the concept too of like phobias. Like the reason, like my wife has like a phobia of spiders that will literally like she will lock up and her brain will stop working, and like I don't have that. Like I don't like spiders,
I
but
think that's just called being a woman.
I'm scared
tell
of
her that.
spiders.
I've tried. She won't listen.
No,
I'm not
don't-
going to tell. I'm not going to tell
Yeah.
her that.
Don't they
But I
say
think,
that's
like,
in
the
genetic
concept of,
code?
like, oh well, yeah, like the concept of genetic echoing is that like stuff like your phobias and stuff that you have like an unnatural fear for comes from somewhere along your genetic lines. So the theory would be somewhere in Sarah's genetic line, a spider bit one of her ancestors and killed her. So therefore, in genetics or in like or even not even like was bit by her one of her ancestors was bit by a spider and died, but like one of her ancestors lived in a part of the world where spiders killed people, so they had an intense fear,
fear them.
and then that just travels down the line, and then you have
It becomes an instinct.
because your genetics are constantly like shifting, and like with generations and with each kid, it's like where you see that like kind of played out is like in identical twins and fraternal twins. Like you talk to people that are twins, there's a psychic connection between them. So if there's a psychic connection between them and it makes sense, you're literally developing at the early stage of your life, sharing a womb with somebody else, some other sentient being that has a brain. Like, so if that's true for them, why wouldn't it be true for other people? And man, that GIF of the psychedelic mushroom chance and Penner would really go a long way.
Dude, I know. It crashed my shit.
I think the mystery of it is more fascinating than probably what the answer is. So I think I think that's the cool part of life is like there are some things I feel like we just won't know, and the pursuit of it is interesting, right? Because it's who we are as humans to be curious and to look into things, and it's also what makes the world funny, because there's also a lot of idiots out there that believe a lot of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's a cool thing. I went to the Queen Mary not long ago and stayed overnight there, which is always something that I wanted to do, and it was a lot of fun. But I understood how people can like go to the Queen Mary and be like, I saw a ghost, because one, they play into it. Two, anytime you walk, like the thing that fascinates me is anytime you walk into an old place where there's been a lot of energy, whether it be negative energy or positive energy or neutral energy, it feels, you can feel something. And I think that's what people perceive as like, oh, this is haunted. Like the bar at the Queen Mary was super dope. It was straight out of like 1910. And the Queen Mary served as like a war vessel and a luxury cruise liner. So you had polar ends of the spectrum in terms of like one end you have absolute pleasure, on the other end you have absolute anguish, because they were like literally transporting amputees and people that had been like injured in the war. So like I think when you have a concentration like that, I don't know, man, I think you can kind of feel it. I think it's interesting.
There's also that idea of like the collective unconscious. Carl Jung came up with, where it's like that part of your consciousness that's like you're not aware of, and that like inherently is like you share that consciousness like with other like human beings. And I guess that's kind of like what you're saying too, with like you have all these like instincts that you can't explain.
It's like when someone's staring at you.
Yeah, so
and you're
I
like,
think, I don't know.
You fucking looking at me?
Yeah.
Paige said in the chat, since I was little, I heard voices having conversations, almost like it sounded like back in the day when you'd be on a landline and another call would interfere with yours. I get that at night when I'm going to sleep. Oh, geez. Can you imagine like hearing someone's thoughts in your brain just for a moment?
I would say, my hunch would be to say that that's your subconscious.
You think so though?
Like
But like, what if
conversations,
it's
because I think ultimately,
Yeah.
I do, because I think your subconscious is like a dictabird or like a tape recorder that's constantly you put all of your shit that your memory doesn't like, that your brain doesn't think is an important memory, you bury it in your subconscious. So I think like I think that's why like you have vivid dreams where you have full on adventures in, you know, a 6-hour period. You know, sometimes you can live an entire lifetime and it's all real and tangible. And like, what about those dreams where it's like you have a different life and you wake, I mean, it's kind of like Diviner, Dave, where it's like you have this like really funny experience or you have this like crazy experience and you wake up and you're like affected by it. And I don't know, like Paige, I'm sure, you know, maybe you do. Maybe you have like maybe you like in that episode of Saved by the Bell where Screech gets that tooth implant and it picks up radio frequencies. Maybe something like that.
Peachtree, do you go to sleep with like a huge like
Salt
antenna next to you, like connected to your head or anything like that? Because that maybe you're picking up.
She has to cover
signals.
tinfoil on her head so it keeps the voices out.
That could maybe explain it. Yeah.
Paige, there's really good services that churches will do called exorcisms that I don't know, you might want to stop in and see if that's something that, you know, interests you.
Yeah. She says, that's an interesting thought. I feel like I'm living but not present a lot of the time because my mind is in 3,000 places at once. So that can make sense that my brain is like catching up on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe especially as you're like passing into like going to sleep. I know that also happens to you where your subconscious is really like taking control of your brain. Ah, that's really interesting though.
I'm just going to say what the doctor said.
Like,
take your medication, Paige.
So how many pills did you get with your lithium subscription or prescription? Was it? I imagine it was a lot. But no, that's all interesting to me, man. It's all, you know, a big mystery. But I don't believe in like ghosts and maybe, I don't know. That'd be crazy if I experienced that, but I've never experienced anything like that, you know.
But Eli has watched how many episodes of Ghost Hunters, dude?
I've watched a few. All my knowledge is coming.
How many seasons, dude?
The question is how many episodes and how many seasons of Unsolved Mysteries have I watched that deal in the paranormal? That's dude, honestly, that's where I got all that stuff about them solving crimes with psychics, because there's always these like, you know, that like veteran grizzled cop that's like, I don't believe in this hocus pocus. That's like it's like Han Solo in the, you know, in the what is it? Force Awakens, when he's like, no, it's real, all of it. Like, it's that kind of a thing where
that's not how the Force works.
It's the follow-up and the sheriff's just shaking. He's all